Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I've had this idea for a little while and wanted to put together this. It's very simple, but I think very dramatic. What you need to make this card is I have a piece of Whisper White that is 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have a piece of designer series paper that is this pretty star pattern, and it is from some designer series paper called Twinkle Twinkle designer series paper, and it is a series of this pretty navy blue with white stars on it. It's got gray stars on the back, and it's all dots and stars and constellation looking drawings on a variety of paper. Most of these colors are very soft, but it has the gray in it the navy blue in it as well. And they're really pretty. There's some stripes in here and some dots and this beautiful soft seafoam color and gray stripes. These are almost like stitch stripes on this one. And then these dots with more constellations, and then navy blue stitched stripes and stars. So that is the paper. And then I thought, well, if you didn't have the designer series paper, what could you do? Well, you could use navy blue paper, and I'm using today some of this shimmer paint, the Frost White. And if you were to put some of that on a brush and then flick it on to a piece of navy, you could probably get this same effect. So it would be an easy thing to do, I think, either using the designer series paper or using navy blue, the Night of Navy paper, and a little bit of shimmer paint would get you the same effect. So let's see, I am using the dies from the Garden Scene Framelits, which is part of the Serene Garden suite. And I use this pretty dove here. And I tried doing the dove stamped and then just plain, and I liked it much better just plain. So here's the stamped dove that I did earlier. And for what I'm looking for here, I wanted simple white. So I'll just save that in here for another time when I need a dove. All right. And my stamps are coming from the Merry Christmas to All photopolymer set in the holiday catalog. And I'm using Merry Christmas. And then on the inside of this card, I have May the beauty of the season fill your heart with joy. I thought that was just a lovely sentiment on here. Nice and simple, and yet nice impact. So we'll put our card up here. So the only other pieces that you need in order to put this card together is you need a scrap of Whisper White big enough to use that die and cut out your dove. Then you need the piece of designer series paper in the navy with the white stars on it. And this is the piece we're going to start on. And I have set up my Stamparatus with my stamps here. I'll move this out of the way. And I have first my Merry Christmas. And what I did was I set this up so that I could put this little piece of paper right up against the edge here and right up against the bottom of this foam mat in here. And I'm going to hold this down with a couple of magnets. And I'm going to be using my VersaMark ink here. And we're going to ink up. Here, let me move this so that you can see exactly what I'm doing. So I'm inking up, oops, looks like I need to clear around that. I'm inking up my Merry Christmas in my VersaMark, And I need to use my embossing buddy here on the bottom of my card piece here. And I'm probably going to ink this up twice because these words are kind of big, and I want to make sure that I get a good impression. Now you can see the words down on the paper here, but I'm going to set it up and I'm going to do it twice just to make absolutely sure, because when these words are big like this, sometimes they leave a little spot, and I want to make sure I don't do that. So there we go. It looks like it's completely covered. So I'm going to remove this paper now, and I'm going to be using some of my white embossing powder here. And so I've got my white embossing powder and my little spoon here, and I'm going to get white embossing powder all over my Merry Christmas. And there, that looks like I've got excellent coverage there. Wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to bring up my heat tool and I will quiet the video. I just love the font on this sentiment. So attractive. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put some tape runner on the back of this piece and put it into place on my card front. So here we go. There we go. Onto place. And then the next thing I'm going to do, the other little piece of, I don't know if you call it equipment or not, but I'm going to take a little Post-it note here for scratch paper, and I'm going to put my dove here on this, and I'm going to use a little paintbrush, and I'm going to put some of this shimmer paint on the dove. I just think it came out so pretty. And so actually there's probably some shimmer paint in the lid, and that's probably all I'll need. And what I'm doing is just painting my dove with the white shimmer paint, and it's called Frost White. Isn't that just beautiful? And so let's see, let me use my pierce tool here to hold that in place while I get this covered and make sure that I am completely covered. And then I'm going to put that into place here and let that dry a minute. And I'm just going to take what paint I have left on off my brush here with a baby white just to clean it right up. And that is all there is to that. And we're just going to allow that to sit up here and dry for a minute. All right, now on the inside, I set up my Stamparatus again because these are larger stamps. I set this up so that I could take my card and lay it down in the corner here and use my magnets to hold that in place. And I set up my other door here to hold my sentiment that is going to come down and be in that spot. And I'm using Night of Navy ink to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this door off for the moment and then turn my Stamparatus around this way so you can see exactly what I'm doing here. Now, inking up on the in the Stamparatus for me seems to work a little bit better when this door is supported and it's more of a flat surface to do my inking on. So I'm going to do that and set this up, tucking this in the corner, making sure that's exactly right, and then putting my sentiment down here so that it stamps the way I want, and making sure to push down on all of the various places, especially when you've got a big stamp like this. And let's pull it off and see what we've got. Isn't the Stamparatus wonderful? Because here we go. We need to stamp this again to get the right image. It would be so disappointing to stamp this and then not be able to restamp if it didn't come out exactly perfectly. You can just stamp with such confidence when you use the Stamparatus. Looks like this little flourish down here on the Y is having some difficulty. So I will redo that. And I think, still not quite. There we go. Now we have a perfectly stamped sentiment on the inside. And so here we go. Take these magnets off. Take, let's see. I wanted to show you what I've done here. I took one of my sponges, or my chamois, and I cut it in half, and then I cut it one side in half again. This is going to be big enough to clean off even this size stamp, but I thought it would be kind of nice to be able to have one that I could pull away from the larger one and clean off stamps a little bit more easily. And so I'm going to experiment with this and see, but again, I store them all together, and then I've got that set the way I'd like to have it. So I'm going to set my Stamparatus aside now and bring back my card, and we are all done except for the little pieces that we're going to add, and my dove is nice and dry at this point. So I'm going to take both sizes of the dimensionals here, and I'm going to sneak one up on the dove's head as far up as I can get it, and one down here on the belly. And then I'm going to take two of the smaller ones, and there's a perfect spot here to stick one there, and a second one way up in the corner on this upper wing. So now we can set our dove in place here. Beautiful shimmery painted dove. There we go. And the only other thing I did was to put a few rhinestones so I'd have some sparkle. And on the original one, I put small ones, and they just looked so insignificant that I thought I would switch to the larger ones on this one. So right down here, and maybe one up here. And then on the inside, more of a medium-sized one right up here next to the sentiment. And that is it. It's, like I said, it's a very simple card, and yet I think the impact of it is pretty amazing. And again, if you don't have the designer series paper, I think using this paint and flicking it on the night of navy would get a similar kind of look. So that is the project for the day today. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. I do so appreciate it. And let's see, the prize draw for this month is the Dashing Deer bundle, the stamp set and the die set. This is the month you spend your coupons that you earned last month. And so this set can be ordered, these pieces can all be ordered on my website, which is www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. Customers that order with me get a newsletter every month. And it's everything that's going on with Stampin' Up! And there's tips and tricks in the newsletter every month. And people that order with me are put automatically into the drawing for the prize draw. And if you've ordered with me, you get a reusable card at the end of the month, or sometimes during the middle of the month, and a product gift or a handmade gift from me. And so the other thing you can do is join my team. And people who join my team get all of those benefits. We also have a monthly meeting where I teach techniques, and we talk about all of the things that demonstrators need to talk about. And people who join my team, I have everything from people who are on my team that never want to have a customer, never want to have a business. They're just doing it for the discounts for being a demonstrator. And others have got everything from that to those people who are now making videos and holding classes and doing everything that I'm doing. And all of those choices are possible. Plus you get your discount. You start out with a 20% discount on all of the product that you order. So, and starting in October will be the beginning of a new quarter. That would be a wonderful time to start. Any time is a wonderful time to start. If you start after the month starts in October, your first quarter doesn't end until March. So you get all the way through your year end. You get the beginning of the occasions catalog, all of Celebration, for one minimum quarter's worth of purchases. And the minimum is $300 in a quarter purchases or sales. And so you have from October 1st until the end of March to make that first $300. So it's a wonderful time to join. People who join after the first of the year often there's an incentive. And if you're not worried about those minimums and that kind of thing, then any time is a good time to join. In any case, I spend a lot of time with my demonstrators as they need, and happy to talk to you about it. Just give me a call. My information is always listed below the video. Thanks again for watching, and I'll be back with more cards and more projects. Bye!